The night on Arendor 5 was colder than death itself. The wind howled across empty ice plains, carrying flakes of frozen dust that sparkled like tiny stars. The sky was dark blue, filled with swirling clouds that looked alive. In the middle of that frozen world stood a lonely metal shelter, Station 47, home to one man. Captain Riley Holt, an engineer from Earth, sat near a flickering heater, fixing a broken oxygen valve. His face was tired, his hands numb even through his gloves. He had been on this frozen outpost for 2 long years, repairing old machines no one cared about anymore. The rest of the crew had already left, but Riley stayed, partly because someone had to and partly because he had nowhere else to go. The clock ticked past midnight. Outside, the wind screamed like a living thing. Riley leaned back, rubbing his eyes. Another perfect night in paradise, he muttered to himself. Then, a sound. A faint, broken cry came through the static of the comm radio. Riley froze. The signal was weak and full of noise, but the sound repeated, soft, trembling, and unmistakably alive. It wasn't human speech. It wasn't a distress beacon. It was something else, something that sounded like a child crying. Riley frowned. "That's impossible," he whispered. The nearest colony was hundreds of miles away. No ships were scheduled tonight. Still the sound came again, clearer this time. A sob, a faint breath, then silence. His instincts told him to ignore it. Storms like this could kill a man in minutes. But something deep inside him, that small part that still believed in doing what's right, made him stand up. Within minutes, Riley was outside, wrapped in thermal gear, pushing through the wind with a scanner in hand. The storm bit into his skin, the snow cutting like knives. His breath came out as white clouds. The signal led him toward the hills, a faint blinking light barely visible through the blizzard. And then he saw it. A small crash site, a broken pod half buried in the ice, smoke rising weakly into the air. Riley ran to it. The metal was still warm, a fresh crash. He pulled open the hatch, coughing as hot steam burst out. Inside it was dark. Sparks jumped from broken panels. And then he saw her, an alien woman, her skin pale silver, eyes closed, breathing shallow. She was clutching something to her chest, a small bundle wrapped in glowing cloth. Riley's heart stopped. Inside the bundle was a baby, small, fragile, with faint blue light pulsing under its skin. The alien mother looked up at him, weak and trembling. Her voice was soft, broken, full of pain. "Please, help," she whispered. "They will come. Soon." Riley knelt beside her, trying to use his med kit. "Don't move. I'll get you out of here," he said, his voice shaking. She shook her head. "No time. Take. My child." Her trembling hand pushed the bundle toward him. "He is Hope. You must protect him." Riley looked at the baby, its eyes glowing faintly, watching him. "Who's coming?" he asked. The mother's breath grew weaker. "Enforcers." "They will kill him. And you." Then her hand went limp. Her head fell back. She was gone. For a long moment, Riley just sat there, snow falling softly around him. The baby made a small sound, not a cry, more like a sigh. The glowing cloth flickered gently like a heartbeat. Riley's throat tightened. He had seen death before, but this was different. This felt like something sacred had been lost in front of him. He looked at the radar on his wrist and his stomach turned cold. Multiple signals. Moving fast. They were coming. He wrapped the child tightly in his arms and ran through the snowstorm. The wind roared louder now, as if the planet itself was trying to stop him. The pod exploded behind him, flames flashing against the white snow. The heat burned his back as he ran toward the shelter. Inside, he locked the doors and turned off the lights. The radar showed 5 incoming ships, sweeping the area with scanners. He crouched under the table, holding the baby close. The small creature glowed faintly, its light reflecting in Riley's tired eyes. The ships passed overhead, their engines rumbling like thunder. Blue search beams cut across the ice outside the window. One beam came dangerously close to the shelter. Riley stopped breathing. Then, silence. The ships drifted away for now. Riley exhaled shakily. He looked down at the alien baby in his arms. It stared back with eyes that looked far too ancient for such a small being. "What are you, little one?" Riley whispered. The baby blinked slowly as if it understood. He stood up, turned on the heater, and looked at the storm outside. The woman's last words echoed in his mind. They will come soon. He knew this wasn't over. Whatever was hunting this child would not stop. He didn't even know why he cared. Maybe because in a universe gone cold, this was the first warm thing he had felt in years. He wrapped the baby tighter in the glowing cloth and whispered, "Don't worry. I'll keep you safe, whoever you are." Outside, lightning flashed across the dark sky. Far away, the radar blipped again, more signals. The hunt had begun. And as the wind screamed outside the small human shelter, one man stood alone in the cold night. Holding hope in his arms, the storm never stopped. It screamed through the night, shaking the walls of Station 47 like an angry beast. Inside, the heater hissed weakly, fighting a losing battle against the endless cold. Riley sat on the floor, back against the wall, holding the small alien baby wrapped in the glowing silver cloth. The soft blue light from the child's skin reflected off the metal walls, making the room feel like it was underwater. The baby had finally stopped crying. It was breathing softly, eyes closed, glowing faintly in rhythm with each breath, like a heartbeat made of light. Riley looked down at it, unsure what to do. He wasn't built for this. He was a mechanic, not a savior. He had fixed engines, repaired shields, even patched up drones. But this? A glowing alien child? This was far beyond him. He muttered to himself, "You've really done it now. Riley, you've broken every rule in the book." He turned on his communicator and tried to reach Central Command. Static. The storm was jamming all signals. He sighed. Maybe that was for the best. He placed a small heater closer to the baby. "You must be freezing, huh?" he said softly. "Don't worry, I've got you." The baby's hand, small with skin like silver mist, untouched his wrist. For a moment, Riley felt warmth spread through his arm. Real warmth. His frostbite pain faded. He stared in disbelief. "What was that?" he whispered. The baby's glow pulsed brighter, then dimmed again. He sat there in silence for a while, just listening to the wind and the faint hum of the power core. His mind drifted back to the alien mother, her trembling hands, her last words. "Please, protect him before they come." He didn't know who they were, but he could guess. The Galactic Enforcers, the lawkeepers of the galaxy. They didn't forgive kindness. Not the kind that broke rules. Under galactic law, no human was allowed to shelter unregistered alien life forms. Any contact without permission was a crime. Punishment, permanent exile, or worse. Still, Riley couldn't leave the child to die. Not after what he'd seen. He got up and started gathering supplies, oxygen tanks, blankets, old med packs. He packed everything into a metal crate and strapped it to his snowcrawler. He looked at the baby one last time. "All right, little one. Time to move." Outside, the wind tore at his coat as he stepped into the storm again. The visibility was near zero. His radar beeped faintly. The Enforcer ships were circling, scanning the area. He whispered, "If they find us, we're dead." The baby stirred, glowing brighter for a second, almost like a warning. Riley paused, ducking behind an ice ridge just as a searchlight swept over the snow. "How did you know that?" he muttered. The child made a soft humming sound, almost like music. Riley pushed the crawler forward through the blizzard. The machine roared, climbing icy hills, heading toward the old maintenance tunnels, an abandoned network beneath the frozen ground. Few people even remembered they existed. After an hour of fighting the storm, he found the entrance, a rusted hatch half buried in snow. He pulled it open, climbed inside, and sealed it shut behind him. Silence. Only the sound of his breathing. He turned on his flashlight. The tunnel walls were covered in frost, pipes frozen solid. But it was safe. For now, he sat down holding the baby close. "We'll stay here until morning," he said softly. "Then I'll figure out how to keep you alive." The baby opened its eyes, glowing blue orbs that seemed to hold stars inside them. Riley smiled faintly.
"You need a name, don't you?"
He thought for a moment. "Nova," he said finally. "Means new light." "Kind of fits, huh?" The baby blinked as if agreeing. Riley leaned back against the cold wall, exhaustion taking over. He hadn't slept in over 20 hours. As he drifted off, he whispered, "Don't worry, Nova. I made a promise. You're not alone anymore." Hours later, the storm faded, but above the tunnels, danger moved closer. A squad of Galactic Enforcers landed near the crash site. Drones scanned the snow, picking up thermal traces. The commander's voice was sharp. Target species Category X, 1 human involved. Find them both. The enforcers began their search, spreading out like shadows in the night. Deep underground, Riley woke suddenly. His scanner was beeping an incoming motion on the surface. His pulse quickened. They're here, he whispered. He grabbed Nova and the supply crate. The baby's glow brightened again, reacting to the threat. Riley could feel the fear in its small heartbeat. He whispered, "It's all right, kid. I promised your mother I'd keep you safe, and I don't break promises." He turned on his crawler again, driving deeper into the tunnels. Water dripped from the ceiling, echoing like footsteps. The air grew colder the deeper he went. Behind him, faint metal sounds echoed. The enforcer drones had entered the tunnels too. Riley sped up, breathing hard, the crawler bouncing over rocks. Come on," he whispered. The baby suddenly lifted its tiny hand. A small blue spark flickered from its palm. The lights on the tunnel wall short-circuited, plunging everything into darkness. The drone stopped moving, confused, searching. Riley realized the baby had done it, saved them. Again. He smiled despite the fear. "You really are something else, Nova." He drove into the blackness, the sound of the storm fading behind him. Somewhere in that frozen maze, a tired human and a glowing alien child disappeared into the dark, bound by a promise made in the snow. The tunnels beneath Arendor 5 stretched like veins under the ice, dark, endless and silent. Every drop of water echoed like a heartbeat. The air was thin, sharp, and filled with the smell of rust and frozen stone. Riley guided his old crawler through the narrow passage, its small headlights cutting through the darkness. The alien child, Nova, rested against his chest, wrapped in the glowing silver cloth. The light from Nova's skin softly illuminated the tunnel walls, casting strange, dancing reflections. Riley's eyes burned with exhaustion, but his mind refused to rest. He could still hear the alien mother's last words echoing in his head. Protect him, before they come. And now they had come. Behind him, in the distance, faint metallic noises echoed. The enforcer drones had entered the tunnels. They were searching every corridor, every shadow, moving with perfect, inhuman precision. Riley whispered under his breath, "We've got to move faster." The crawler's engine whined as it climbed a steep, icy slope. He glanced at his radar, multiple red dots approaching from behind. The enforcers were closing in. He looked down at Nova. The baby's eyes were open now, glowing softly like 2 tiny moons. Riley frowned. "You feel it too, don't you?" As if answering, Nova's light pulsed rapidly. Bright, then dim, then bright again. The air around them shimmered slightly like static energy. Riley's heart jumped. "What are you doing, kid?" Suddenly, the radar screen flickered, and the red dots vanished. Riley stared at it in disbelief. "You jammed their signal, didn't you?" Nova blinked slowly. The glow faded to normal. Riley shook his head and whispered, "You're full of surprises, little one." He turned the crawler toward an old maintenance junction. The walls opened into a massive, underground chamber filled with broken machinery and frozen pipes, a forgotten refinery station from when humans first tried to mine the planet centuries ago. He parked the crawler behind a large metal column and set up a small thermal shield to hide their heat signature. For now, they were safe. Riley sat down, cradling Nova in his arms. The silence felt heavy, like the calm before a storm. He reached into his pocket and pulled out a small photo. A young woman with kind eyes and a smile that used to make the cold feel warm. "Her name was Lara," he whispered. "She used to tell me no one's too small to make a difference." He looked at Nova. Guess she was right. The baby's tiny hand reached out and touched the photo. For a moment, a faint light shimmered around it. The woman's smile seemed to glow faintly, almost alive. Riley's breath caught. "You can read energy?" Before he could think more, his wrist communicator crackled with static, a faint signal breaking through the storm. "Attention. This is the Galactic Enforcement Unit. Human citizen Riley Holt, you are ordered to surrender. You are harboring a dangerous life form. Refusal will be considered rebellion under Code 9A. Riley's stomach tightened. He switched off the communicator, eyes cold.
Dangerous life form, huh?
You people wouldn't know life if it froze right in front of you. He stood and checked his weapons, an old pulse rifle and a few EMP grenades. Not much, but better than nothing. A distant boom shook the tunnel walls. Ice dust fell from the ceiling. Then another boom, closer. They had found him. Lights flickered in the distance, blue beams sweeping through the darkness. Riley crouched behind a pillar, holding Nova close. He could hear mechanical voices echoing through the tunnels. Thermal trace detected. Human presence confirmed. Target identified. Execute retrieval protocol. Riley's pulse quickened. He whispered, "Hang on, Nova." He threw an EMP grenade down the tunnel. It exploded with a flash of blue, disabling the first wave of drones. Sparks danced in the dark. But more came. Hundreds, maybe thousands. Riley fired his pulse rifle, the shots lighting up the tunnel like lightning. The sound echoed endlessly, blending with the mechanical screams of damaged drones. Nova started to cry, not from fear, but from something deeper. Its light began to glow brighter, filling the tunnel with warm blue radiance. Riley turned to look, embarrassed, and froze. The drones had stopped moving. Every single one. Their lights flickered, then went dark. The entire tunnel fell silent. Riley's heart pounded. "What did you just do?" he whispered. Nova's glow dimmed again. The baby sighed softly, eyes half closing from exhaustion. Riley looked at the silent machines around them. The air was filled with static. It felt like standing in the middle of a storm made of electricity and peace at the same time. He picked up Nova gently. "You saved us again, huh?" He could feel the child's heartbeat. Slow, steady, strong. As he walked deeper into the tunnels, Riley began to understand. This wasn't just a child. Nova was something more. Something powerful enough to frighten the entire Galactic Council. He reached another door, an exit that led toward the human refuge, a hidden outpost far beneath the planet's frozen crust. He typed the old code into the keypad. The door hissed open with a long metallic groan. Cold air rushed in, and for the first time in hours, Riley saw a faint orange light, the glow of human fire. He stepped through, clutching Nova to his chest. Behind him, deep in the tunnels, a broken drone flickered to life long enough to send one last message. Subject located. Human accomplice confirmed. Prepare extraction team. The hunt was far from over. But as the heavy doors closed behind him, Riley whispered, "They'll have to go through me first." He looked down at Nova, the little being that glowed faintly in his arms. In that moment, he didn't feel like a soldier or a fugitive. He felt like something else, something rare in this cold universe. He felt like a father. Deep beneath the frozen surface of Arendor 5, a forgotten world still breathed. Flickering torches burned along a row of steel, tunnels that led to a massive underground chamber, a secret settlement built long ago by runaway miners and soldiers who no longer trusted the Galactic Council. This place was called the Refuge. When Riley entered, with Nova in his arms, every conversation in the chamber stopped. Men and women stared, their faces pale from the cold and their eyes suspicious. No one came to the refuge without reason, and certainly not carrying a glowing alien child. Riley's boots crunched on the frosty floor as he approached the central fire pit. A tall woman with gray streaks in her hair stepped forward. Her eyes were sharp, but not cruel. "Riley Holt," she said. "Haven't seen you since the mines shut down. What in the void are you carrying?" Riley hesitated. He could lie, but the truth weighed too heavy. "Her name's Nova," he said quietly. "Or his. I'm not sure." "He's not from here." The woman folded her arms. "You brought an alien?" "Here, are you insane?" "Do you have any idea what'll happen if the Enforcers find us?" "They already found me," Riley replied. "They'll keep coming whether I stay here or not." A murmur spread through the crowd. Some looked frightened, others angry. One man shouted, "Throw him out before he gets us all killed." Riley turned to face them. "You think I wanted this?" He snapped. "That I went looking for trouble? I found a crash and a mother dying in the snow. She handed me her child. I couldn't just walk away." Silence fell again. Only the wind outside the tunnels howled faintly like a distant ghost. The woman sighed. "You always were the stubborn kind," she said softly. "All right, let me see the child." Riley carefully pulled the blanket aside. The silver glow lit the room like gentle moonlight. Gasps filled the air. The baby blinked slowly, its eyes shimmering with starlight. "He's beautiful," someone whispered, but then the impossible happened. A man in the crowd, his hand bandaged from an old mining wound, stumbled forward. His hand brushed against Nova's arm, and in an instant the light spread over his skin. The man froze. His bandages fell away. The deep infected wound on his palm was gone, completely healed. Everyone stepped back in shock. The man flexed his fingers, tears filling his eyes. "It doesn't hurt anymore," he whispered. For the first time in months, Riley saw wonder, not fear, in their faces. Nova cooed softly, the blue light fading back to normal. Riley held the child close. "He's not a weapon," he said quietly. "He's something good. Something the Council wants to destroy." The woman, Commander Isha, looked at the child, then at Riley. "If that's true, then this child might be worth more than every ship in the fleet." Riley shook his head. "He's not a prize. He's just life. Real life." Isha's voice hardened. "Life or not, if they find him here, they'll wipe us out. Every one of us." Riley looked around, faces filled with fear. He understood. He'd brought danger into the only safe place left. He turned to leave. "Then I'll go. I won't bring this on you." But as he turned, Nova reached out and touched Isha's arm. A faint light shimmered again and a warmth that made her stop. She looked into the baby's glowing eyes and saw something that froze her heart. A memory. A vision of the alien mother dying in the snow, begging for mercy. Isha gasped softly, her expression changing from suspicion to sorrow. "He showed me," she whispered. "He showed me what happened." Riley stared. "You saw it too?" "Yes," she said, her voice trembling. "He doesn't just heal. He remembers." The people of the refuge murmured again, this time not in fear, but awe. Suddenly the alarm lights flashed red. Sirens wailed. The comms crackled to life. "Multiple heat signatures approaching. Enforcer crafts detected." Riley's stomach dropped. "They tracked us," Isha barked orders. "Seal the upper tunnels. Arm the turrets." The room exploded into motion. Soldiers running, children crying, alarms blaring. Riley clutched Nova close as the baby's glow brightened again. Reacting to the fear around it, he whispered, "Stay calm. Nova, don't let them find you." Outside, the storm screamed as Enforcer ships cut through the sky, blue lights sweeping over the icy cliffs. Inside the refuge, humans braced for war. Riley turned to Aisha. "We can't fight them forever. They'll burn this place to ash." Aisha nodded grimly. "Then we hide the child. Take him to the lower tunnels, the old reactor vault. It's shielded. They won't detect him there." Riley hesitated. "And you?" She smiled faintly. "Someone has to stall them." He didn't want to leave her, but there was no time. He ran through the corridors, Nova pressed tightly to his chest, alarms echoing in the distance. As he reached the lower levels, he looked down at the baby's glowing face. "You're changing everything, you know that?" he said softly. "People are seeing hope again, even down here." Nova blinked and the light around him flickered gently, like a tiny heartbeat in the dark. Riley smiled sadly. "I promised your mother I'd protect you. And I will, no matter what it costs." Above them, explosions shook the tunnels. The Enforcers had arrived, but for the first time in years, the humans of Arendor didn't hide out of fear. They stood their ground for something they believed in, and in the cold heart of a dying planet, one human's kindness had sparked something unstoppable, a rebellion, born from mercy. The walls of the refuge shook as the first explosion hit. Dust rained from the ceiling. Metal beams groaned. Alarms screamed through the underground base. Captain Riley Holt shielded Nova in his arms as he ran down a corridor filled with smoke. The baby's silver glow cut through the darkness, lighting the path ahead like a tiny star. Behind him, voices shouted, "They've breached the upper gate! Hold your positions." Riley turned into a maintenance shaft and slid down a ladder to the lower level. The heat from the battle above reached even here. The air smelled like fire and fear. Nova whimpered softly, his light flickering weakly. Riley pressed him close. "It's okay, kid. I've got you." He found the old reactor vault just like Commander Isha had said. The heavy door was half rusted, but he forced it open and stepped inside. The chamber was wide and cold, filled with silent machinery from another age. He laid Nova gently on a blanket, checking the child's breathing. It was slow but steady. The glow dimmed to a faint blue shimmer. Riley sat beside him, back against the metal wall, heart pounding. He could hear the muffled sound of explosions echoing from above. The refuge was fighting and dying, and for a child that wasn't even human. He whispered to himself, "This is the price, huh? The price of kindness." For a moment he thought of Earth. Green fields, blue skies, warmth. That world was long gone, ruined by greed and war. Humanity had run from its own mistakes, spreading across the stars. But maybe deep down they hadn't changed at all. Now here he was, a single man hiding a forbidden child in the ruins of another dying world. He clenched his fists. "Not again," he muttered. "Not this time." A sudden crash above made the ceiling tremble. Sparks fell like rain. The door to the vault glowed red. Plasma cutters. The enforcers had found them. Riley stood, grabbed his pulse rifle, and took cover behind an old reactor shell. "You picked the wrong human to chase," he said quietly. The door burst open with a flash of light. 3 enforcer drones rolled in, their mechanical eyes glowing blue. Behind them stepped a tall figure in black armor, Captain Vorn, leader of the enforcer unit. His voice was calm, cold, and metallic. "Human. You are in violation of Galactic Law Code 9A. Surrender the life form immediately." Riley aimed his rifle. "You'll have to take him from me." Vorn tilted his head. "You are defending a creature that threatens the balance of the galaxy. Do you understand what that means?" "I understand he's a child," Riley snapped. "And I understand you murdered his mother." Vorn's voice didn't change. "The Council decides who lives and who dies." "Not you," Riley fired. The rifle's blast hit the first drone, sending it crashing into the wall. The others returned fire, blue bolts slicing through the air. Sparks exploded around him. Riley dove for cover, firing again. Nova began to cry, a soft, trembling sound that echoed through the chamber. The glow from his body brightened. Brighter, brighter, until the whole room was filled with blue light. The sound of energy hummed like thunder in the air. Vorn shouted, "Contain the subject," but it was too late. A shockwave of pure light burst from Nova's body, spreading outward in a blinding pulse. The drones froze mid-motion, their systems overloading. Blue sparks erupted from their joints. One by one, they fell silent. Riley shielded his eyes, feeling the warmth of the energy wash over him. For a moment, he couldn't breathe. Then, on silence, he looked up. The drones were down. The walls glowed faintly with the leftover light. Nova lay still, the glow fading from his skin. Riley rushed to him, panic flooding his chest. Hey, come on, kid. Stay with me." Nova's small hand twitched. His eyes opened, weak but alive. Riley let out a shaky breath of relief. Vorn stood in the doorway, smoke rising from his armor. His mechanical voice crackled. "You don't understand. That thing will destroy everything." Riley held the baby close, glaring back. "No, he'll save it." Vorn stumbled backward, retreating into the tunnel. The surviving enforcers pulled him away as the ceiling above them began to collapse. Riley grabbed his pack and ran, carrying Nova through the falling debris. Fire and dust filled the air. He stumbled, coughing, but kept going. At the exit tunnel, he stopped and looked back. The refuge and the last safe place when I was burning. The humans above were fighting with everything they had, their courage shining brighter than any star. He felt tears sting his eyes. "They're buying us time," he whispered. "They're fighting for you." Nova reached up weakly and touched Riley's cheek. A warm glow spread across his skin, not healing, just comfort. Riley smiled through the pain. "Yeah, I know. We have to keep going." He stepped into the tunnel, the sounds of battle fading behind him. The snowstorm outside roared once again, cold and endless. Riley looked down at the child in his arms. "You saved them, Nova. But it cost too much." He paused, watching the sky flicker with distant explosions. "Kindness always costs," he said softly. "But maybe that's what makes it worth it." He pulled his hood up, tightening his coat. Then he began walking into the storm again, one man and one child against the galaxy. Far above, the enforcer fleet circled like vultures. But Riley didn't care. He wasn't running anymore. He was protecting something pure, something worth dying for. And in that frozen wasteland, humanity burned brighter than ever before. Snow fell endlessly across Arendor 5, blanketing the world in silence. The once roaring battle had faded to echoes. Smoke trails in the sky, burnt wreckage buried in frost. Somewhere far from the ruins of the refuge, Riley Holt trudged through the storm, one arm holding the faintly glowing bundle that was Nova. The child's light was dim now, flickering like a dying ember. Each step Riley took felt heavier than the last. His breath came in shallow gasps, fogging his cracked visor. He found shelter inside an old communication outpost, long abandoned, its walls half collapsed. Inside, dust and frost covered the consoles, but at least it was quiet. He laid Nova down gently on a blanket made from his coat. The little alien stirred weakly. Riley touched his forehead, cold as ice. "Come on, kid. Don't give up now," he whispered. "We're almost there." He lit a small fire using old fuel cells. The orange glow danced across Nova's silver skin. Slowly, color returned to the child's face and the faint blue shimmer steadied. Riley leaned back against the wall, exhausted. "You scared me," he muttered. "Guess I'm not good at this whole parent thing." Nova blinked slowly, his small hand reaching toward Riley's. For a moment, man and alien sat in silence, the universe outside vast and uncaring, but here, there was warmth. Then Riley noticed something on the old console, a blinking light. He brushed off the frost. A message file was queued, old but still functional. The system identified it as Crash Record 77 Delta, translation incomplete. His heart raced. "This must be from your mother's ship," he murmured. He hit play. Static filled the room, then a weak voice emerged, soft, trembling, familiar. "To whoever finds this, I am Saris Vilan of the Solari. We created life to heal dying worlds. We built Children of Light. But the Council feared what we made. They called them unstable, dangerous." Riley's eyes widened. He looked at Nova, then back at the flickering screen. "My son Nova is the last. He carries the code, the light that can restore poisoned air, clean dead soil, and mend worlds. If they find him, they will destroy him, not because he is a threat, but because he proves them wrong." The message broke into static. Riley's hands trembled. "You're not just an alien," he whispered. "You're a miracle." He remembered the wounds Nova healed, the energy that shut down machines, the visions he showed Aisha. Everything made sense now. Nova wasn't a weapon. He was life itself, created to bring balance and feared for it. He rewound the message and caught the last fragment of Saris's voice. "To the one who finds him, please teach him kindness. The galaxy has forgotten what that means." The screen went dark. Riley sat there for a long moment, his throat tight. The snowstorm outside grew louder, wind howling like ghosts. He whispered, "I'll teach him, Saris, I promise." Just then, the scanner beeped. Movement. 3 signals approaching fast. Enforcers. They had tracked him again. Riley grabbed his rifle, slung Nova over his shoulder, and ran toward the rear exit. He kicked open a hatch and stepped into the storm. Blinding light cut across the snow. Drones descending, scanning beams slicing through the white fog. A voice boomed over the speakers. "Riley Holt, you are charged with treason and harboring a bioweapon. Surrender or be terminated," he gritted his teeth. "He's not a weapon." He ducked behind a snow ridge as blue plasma bolts struck the ground. Snow exploded in every direction. He fired back, his rifle glowing red hot, but there were too many. The enforcers moved like machines, precise, heartless. Riley was hit in the shoulder, spinning to the ground. Pain ripped through him. He tried to get up, but his legs shook. Nova began to cry, a soft ringing sound that made the air itself vibrate. The glow from his body brightened again, pulsing like a heartbeat. The snow around them started to melt. The air warmed. The storm began to calm, like the planet itself was listening to him. The enforcer drones hesitated. Their scanners flickered. One by one, they powered down and fell to the ground, steam rising from their circuits. Riley looked around, stunned. You're healing the planet, aren't you?" Nova's eyes met his, bright with light. The wind stopped. For a moment, there was perfect silence. Then, in the distance, a new sound and a deep rumble. Riley turned to see a massive ship descending from the clouds. Not an enforcer vessel, but something larger, older. Its hull shimmered with alien symbols. He felt his chest tighten. No, it can't be. The ship's voice boomed through the storm, ancient and calm. Child of Solari detected. Initiating retrieval protocol. Riley backed away, shielding Nova. You're not taking him, the voice replied. This being must be protected. The Council will destroy this world to erase its existence. Riley froze. Destroy the planet? Confirmed. He looked down at Nova, the small glowing child staring up at him, innocent and pure. The galaxy wanted him dead for what he represented. Hope. Riley clenched his jaw. Then we stopped them somehow. The alien ship hovered, waiting. Riley took a deep breath. If you're here to protect him, help me save him. Help me save this planet. The ship's light dimmed as if thinking. Then finally, access granted, human. A ramp lowered, glowing softly in the storm. Riley stepped forward, holding Nova close. The snow swirled around them like stars. He looked up at the sky, whispering, Your mother wanted you to change the galaxy. Let's start with one world. And together, man and child walked into the light, toward the truth that would shake the stars. The alien ship rose through the storm clouds like a silver ghost. Its engines made no sound, only a deep, steady hum that felt more like a heartbeat than a machine. Inside the ship, the air shimmered with blue light. Strange symbols glowed on the walls, alive, shifting like water. Riley stood near the center, holding Nova, whose small body glowed brighter than ever. The warmth from the child filled the air, soft and peaceful. He looked around. What kind of ship is this? He whispered, a voice answered, and calm and ancient, coming from everywhere at once. This vessel is Solari origin, programmed to protect the last child of light. You are an anomaly, human, but your actions have been noted, Riley frowned. Yeah, well, I didn't plan on being anyone's hero. Just trying to do what's right. The ship's lights pulsed faintly, almost like a sigh. The Galactic Council is approaching. Their fleet will arrive in 7 minutes. Their orders are to erase this world to hide their sins. Riley's chest tightened. Erase the planet, you mean? Kill everyone still down there? Confirmed. He looked out the window. Through the swirling snow, he could see faint flashes in the sky. The Council's ships were coming, hundreds of them, surrounding Arendor 5 like wolves closing in on prey. Riley whispered, There has to be another way. The ship paused, then said, There is one. The child can release a planetary pulse, an energy that will cleanse and heal the atmosphere, stop the bombardment, and reveal the Council's crime to every system. But the process will drain all his energy. Riley froze. Drain? You mean he'll die? Yes. He looked down at Nova. The little alien stared back, eyes glowing softly as if he understood. Riley's throat tightened. No, there has to be another way. But Nova reached up and touched his face, a small, gentle gesture that stopped time itself. For a moment, Riley saw something. Not with his eyes, but inside his mind. He saw green fields growing over dead soil, rivers running clear again. Children, human and alien, playing under warm suns, worlds reborn, and in all of it. He saw Nova smiling. When the vision faded, tears ran down Riley's cheeks. You're just a kid, he whispered. You shouldn't have to save us. Nova blinked slowly and for the first time smiled. The ship's voice returned. He is chosen. Riley shook his head. I won't let him do this alone. He placed Nova gently in the center of the glowing platform. The walls brightened, humming with power. Energy flowed from the ship into the child, and from the child into the planet below. Outside, beams of light spread across the clouds, cutting through the storm. The snow melted. The air cleared. Frozen rivers began to flow again. The Enforcer fleet above tried to fire, but their weapons powered down, systems failing. The same blue light spread across their ships, turning destruction into stillness. Every screen across the galaxy flickered to life. The image of the alien mother's final message appeared, her voice echoing across countless worlds. We created life to heal, not destroy. Fear has ruled long enough. It is time to remember what kindness means. Billions watched. Soldiers lowered their weapons. Planets paused their wars. The truth and the light had finally reached them all. But inside the ship, the energy grew too strong. The walls cracked with light. Riley shielded his eyes. Nova, stop! The child turned his glowing face toward him one last time. In those eyes, Riley saw everything, the stars, the hope, and a piece of his own soul reflected back. Then the light exploded. A wave of blue energy burst from the ship, spreading through the atmosphere like dawn breaking across a dead world. When the brightness faded, silence returned. Riley woke on the floor, the air warm for the first time in years. The storm was gone. Sunlight, real sunlight, poured through the ship's open hatch. Outside, the planet was alive. The sky was gold. The ice was melting into rivers, but Nova was gone. Only a small silver crystal lay where he had been. It glowed softly, pulsing like a tiny heart. Riley picked it up carefully, tears in his eyes. He whispered, "You did it, kid. You really did it." The ship's voice spoke softly. "The child's essence remains. His light will live through the world he saved." Riley stepped outside, feeling the warm breeze against his face. The horizon stretched endlessly, full of color and life. He looked up at the sky, at the fleet of council ships retreating in silence, and spoke softly, almost to himself. In a galaxy full of rules, it took a child to teach us mercy. He walked toward the rising sun, the crystal glowing in his hand, and far above, among the stars, new signals began to appear. Colonies reaching out, worlds calling for peace, people remembering what it meant to be human again. Riley smiled faintly. "You've got your home now, Nova," he whispered. "Not just here, but in every heart that remembers you." He tucked the glowing crystal inside his jacket and began walking toward the new dawn. One man, carrying the light of a lost child who changed the universe. As the screen faded, a voice, calm, human, and full of hope, echoed through the stars. In the coldest night, a human gave warmth to a stranger, and from that warmth a new galaxy was born. The end.